Hey, last time I had huge problems with my internet connection, causing my stream to break into about 19 different parts in the space of 25 minutes. That was fun. So I'm going to try and continue from where I left off, which was writing some tests to test the entire creation pipeline, or any of the handler pipelines, with specific wanting to do this because we're going to add in some validation to prove that toggles aren't created with multiple with names that already exist. And I don't have something that tests that the whole pipeline works, but I can test that the validation works on its own. So we're expanding that a bit. We have our first test here, which is for creating, it's just called when creating a toggle, but we're going to rename it in a minute because it's blank. And this one should fail when we run it, because we're trying to create a toggle with a blank name, and that should throw us a validation exception. Yep, and it passed that one here. Right, so let's name it a bit better. When creating toggle name, and let's do something, we'll do one that passes as well. So when creating a toggle with, let's just call when creating a valid toggle. So we'll do await send new create toggle, create toggle request. We need an editor ID, property, so I don't have to keep retyping it. We need a name, so won't bother with a description. Now in this case, our response should be a successful one. So response.toggleID should not be empty. Right, so now we have working toggle creation. So now we want to test whether we can prevent one being created if we've already got the same name. Now to do that, using in-memory storage, so the first thing we're going to do is extract that into a field. Really want to property that. Oh well, I would just call it storage, and then do encapsulate, and we'll make it protected. Yep. So now in here we say when creating a toggle a name ready. Now we somehow need to put that name into the storage. At the moment, I don't think we're actually doing any kind of setup on the storage, are we? No, so we need to actually do some setup. So storage dot, just to build a should just be able to do toggle load from, and we're also going to want a projection as well. Nope. All toggles. So I think what we want to do is just save another toggle straight into the session that or straight into the storage which has the same name we're going to test with. So var name equals test name. So using session equals await storage dot in session. So let's do session dot save toggle create new, and we need an editor, which I really am going to put into a field now because this is going to be used a lot, and it's probably going to be used by most of these things. So this make it read only. Shall push it down to here, and finally encapsulate it. And again, protected will do. I don't like initializing things up here, so let's put it down here. Nice, the encapsulation didn't rename the properties. Right, so now we've got an editor. We did a name, which is going to be our name field, description, matter. So give it a description, because I don't know what I'm going to actually throw as an error yet. In fact, I don't need it to do anything else in that, because disposal of the session will commit it. So now we should do that same assertion, except we have our name specified and a new description, which is and this time our message should contain something about a toggle already existing, but I don't know what I want to put in my message. We'll just check it's not blank. Now hopefully this will fail, because I don't think it will throw an exception at the moment, because we've not implemented validation against this. Good. So the place that we want to implement this, actually let's move this to a separate file first. That up. Let's see. Don't actually know what's going on with that file, so we're just going to get rid of it. Right. So tests implement create toggle line. Right, now we can actually go around and fix our issue. Now the place we want to fix it is create toggle data. So at the moment this is just validating the name is filled out. So let's change this to take in I document storage. So we'll check the name first. There's no point continuing on if name is invalid. So now we want to say art projection equals we might have to make this asynchronous. So using session. Oh, that's my typing. Can't wait because we're not on an asynchronous method. So let's do storage dot begin session result. Var projection. Oh, let's call it view. View equals session dot below projection toggles. If view dot toggles if what do we have? So any string toggles. So we now just want to check if the name is equal to that ignoring case. So if any of those are true, return this. Return new name get an interpolated string and do request already in use. What? Right. I think that'll work. Find out. Perfect. And now we will come back and refactor this. So create toggle validator. Check name is not already used. Right, so now we've done that, now let's get rid of this by making this whole thing asynchronous. So if we go to our request validator and find usages of that, we see we're already in an asynchronous method here. Get the first validator validated, there only throw the messages. Yep, good, that shouldn't be too difficult to convert. So what we'll do is we'll go into here and change this, do this. Right, return type is now going to be a task, a collection of string. Now I was considering making it enumerable, but I think I'll leave it as a connection for now. Right, so now if we go back here, we can now do a wait on that. Get rid of that. Make this async. Now here we can do an await. Also And yeah, do that for the time being. Oh, okay, that's why. Move the registry around. Right. So this is validation. American.b have make a sync. I'll just say async. Right, now that we've made that asynchronous, now refactor this a bit more. A method name and task. No, get. Yeah, get existing toggles. Yes, just do it. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, let's not use resharper for that then. Let's do this. Private IEnumerable toggle view get existing no. So get the view, and now we'll just do return view.toggles. And now here we can say var toggles equals get wait get existing toggles. This can change to check. So, and then we can get rid of these. It's your problem. I'm not going to do that. And the reason I'm not yielding these things back, apart from the fact this isn't IEnumerable, is because I don't want this test to run if this didn't pass. Because if this didn't pass, there's no point fetching the existing toggles. So you might as well save the overhead of loading them from whatever storage we're using. Don't like that either. So let's say, do we have any extensions? Yeah. Yes. So we'll have public static bool equals ignore this string first, string second, and that is just string dot equals first, second, to null. In all case. And now we can just say equals ignore request name need more brackets. Unexpected character slash. Yes, that's because I'm still not entirely used to not hitting the slash, where there should be a control key, but my laptop has an extra key with a slash on it instead. Factor and extract. Right, now that we've got validation in place, can now go back to doing more fun things, which is UI work. Well, more fun things, differently fun things. So if we cd source crispin.rest, and now I should be able to exit rider because I don't think I need it anymore. npm run kill to involve the random .NET processes knocking about, which there aren't any for a change. Let's also start up a second window. Do cd dev projects Crispin source crispin.rest npm start. Great, so now our API should be running. Right, so now when we create a toggle, we should get an exception. I'm going to call this one fifth because that already exists. Description, what? Yep, and we got a bad request back from it. But obviously that didn't show anywhere useful in our UI, so let's make it nice. If I can remember where all the stuff is. Let's zoom in a bit. And createToggle actions. Alright, hopefully that's seeable on the stream. So, createToggle. Build some options. Do this, and then when it's successful, we dispatch this. But we're just dispatching a response for whether it was successful or not. Now, I don't know what properties are available on that. I wonder if I can get at them through. Sources, maybe? Get at some stuff. I have no idea. That's my React one. I'm sure I could have told that. I swore I told that to appear over here. So let's create that, inspect this. Maybe I can't get at it. I want to set a breakpoint on here. I can set breakpoints in here apparently. I did the other day. But I don't know what causes that to be hit. Instead I should do the age-old debugging of console.log response. Let's create our fifth toggle again. Let's get a more useful sized console. Now hopefully, yes, we've got a status. So what we'll say is if response.status is 201. Not sure if this is the best way to do it, but that's how we're going to dispatch that and close the form. Now I'm checking for 201 because I know that's what the API returns, because 201 means created, and assuming it was successful. Otherwise, we need to do something to make it know that something bad happened. So we'll do dispatch, and this time it'll be a type of createToggle failed. But we should also include some other information. Now I got a body back. You can't read in here, but hey. Can I just do this message as body response? Now I know it's not an immutable. What's the word I'm looking for? Isomorphic send or fetch or something. So I think I can just do that. Maybe. Might not be able to. We'll find out in a minute. Let's see what we got in here. Right. Oh, so what's the right place to call it? I thought that would. Let's have a look. Oh, we did get a body for it. And the body was Jason. Or is it because that returns a promise? It might be. Yeah, I meant to do this. I don't like JavaScript. I think. Where's my formatter? There we go. Formatter wasn't working. Let's just clear that lot again. And that. There we go. So what I'm going to do instead is do messages messages. Now I was also planning on switching this to actually return a JSON body as well. What I'm going to do instead is do this response. But then I lose the status code. Oh well, we'll leave it like that for now. Might end up having to do this internally anyway. Right, so now that we've got an error message coming back, why is it closing the form still? I'm only calling close form when it's 201. Which means we're probably closing it in here. We click the button called on-click save, and the save action create toggle with a callback. It shouldn't be closing the form. It's weird. Oh, uncaught error in promise. Am I doing things wrong by any chance? Expected end of JSON input. What? I'm just going to refresh everything. Good, that's what I was expecting. Oh, and it didn't shut the form either. So now that we've got the message, what we want to do is display the message somewhere. Probably at the top, I guess. Is there a nice component for messages? I'd have called it a notification. Well, I'll just scroll through everything, because that won't take a long time. It's kind of a validation message we want, but it's not tied to a specific control. Ah, alert messages. That's basically what we're after. Now I've got to remember how to hook that up to my form. Which I guess is mapping state. So let's dispatch that. Get that back. I don't know. I mean, part of me wants to just put a callback like this in, but I suspect that's not the way you're supposed to do it. So I'm going to have a look at my other project which does this kind of thing. No. Now, this doesn't use the same library for doing all of the messaging and such, but it does do requests and failures. Well, that's only updating state. Something else later. No actual messages. Sure, I've written something that's got messages when you do things. Probably did it wrong though. Oh well. So I guess we want a reducer to handle toggle creation and messages. Maybe. I'm sure I've done this somewhere else. You click a button and it sits there and whirls for a while until it's done. Maybe it was a work project, I can't remember. Yeah, it probably was. Well, I guess I suppose I'm meant to use a reducer. Not that I'm reducing state, I'm actually changing. Oh, this is technically state. Yeah, let's try it. Reducers. I can't remember how you structure a reducer either. That'll do. Copy that. Default state. For this, honestly, I don't know. We've only got one state we care about, which is the create toggle failure. So let's not deal with successes. Although I suppose technically we will need to deal with successes at some point. Yes, because we'll want to inject those into the toggle state, but this will be in a different area because it's a different reducer. I wonder how you meant to do that. Oh well, worry about that later. So this is our create. Actually, let's handle success as well, because I'm sure we need to actually clear this at some point. So we'll just say failed through messages action.messages. Otherwise failed false messages an array. And I suppose if we handle whatever my creation case was, request, and in that case return failed false messages empty, which tells us return default state. Maybe. Now I need to hook this up to my reducers somewhere, wherever those were. Oh, there we go. Now, oh well, we'll just stick them in a separate place for now. Import creation. So now we should be able to get at some state in this. No, not that. That. Let's map state to props. State props. I call it create, I think. Oh, I've shut the damn thing already. Yeah, create. I don't know. This feels like a terrible name to me, but it'll do for now. So we then want to put that in here. That won't do anything to start with, but should mean I can inspect this form. Where is the connect call? There. Oh, there we are. Failed messages. It already has a message in it. This is making me think I'm not doing it in the right way. So we get the message here, but it will also appear the next time I open the form as well. Anyway, we get hold of the information anyway. So where are we going to put this? I think above the form. That maybe. And now we want it from here, alert. Now we only want to show that if there is a message. So we're going to say this dot props create message. Messages. So in fact we want a list item. No, we don't. The UL. Class name. List unstyled. Then we'll put that here. MI. The key, which is going to be our index. Our message. This whole thing only wants to be rendered needed, so we're just going to do this dot render message. Render return this. I want to if this dot create dot messages length not 0. No, if it is 0, return null. And now we need to do this dot the message equals this dot render message bind this. It's JavaScript and stupid. Right. Errors. Cannot read property message of undefined. $33. I thought I'd initialize that to an empty array, but alright. So I'll do const messages equals that. Not messages or messages. Length is that. And here we might as well now just use messages. Alright, happy? Maybe. Can't tell, more red. What are you talking about? Oh, right. Right, so that works, but if I close this and now reopen it, I don't know if this is the right way to do it or not. Yeah, I'm more tempted to use that callback instead. We do 2 callbacks, a success callback and a failure callback. I actually think that would be neater than this. I mean, part of this code needs to still exist, but yeah. I'm still going to dispatch this just in case there's something useful in it. But what I'm going to do, instead of having close form, I'm going to have success and failure. Failure gets called all body. And now in here, this definitely needs refactoring. There's far too much code in one file. So we do this create toggle and we call close. This is our success callback. And we also need a failure callback. It's called close. See, I'd rather that be named better. You call save. Yeah, for the time being. I'm sure I save for the time being quite a lot. Don't know if that's a good thing or not. For the time being, I'll continue. So now that we've got our close, let's also have our failure, which is going to be body. This dot set state failure message body dot messages. Right, so instead of that, we now need failure messages equal to that. This is now this.state.failure messages. I need to check that because I'm guaranteeing it is something. Failure is not a function, isn't it now? No, it probably isn't because we're not passing it through. This 2.setState. State, haven't I? Get there eventually. Yeah. Except it's not a warning we want to register. It's something. An error. I think error is the name of the right style. Now we don't even get the. No, it's not error. Success wanted danger, obviously. I knew that. Yeah, good. Right, so now we just need to go back and fix some of the other junk I did to this, like implementing a reducer that we're ignoring. We will need to do something with the reducer later, but for the time being, let's get rid of that. That no longer exists, so that no longer needs to exist. Good. I think. Fresh. Yep, that will do nicely. Alright, so if there's a 201, we'll send a success, otherwise we'll decode the body as JSON and send a failure. Yeah, that sounds about right. And I'll register the alert message as well. Web UI. And handle add request. Responses. Good. Now this oh, what the hell? Yes, this form has got quite a lot going on in it now, and I don't like this huge block of things up here either. Might move those into top level functions. Have this close, and then here we'll have a success and a failure version. I'm not sure if that really helps though. I really want to call that success, that's the point. only use. Yeah, that's the only place. It's called toggle modal, but it doesn't. I'm going to call it open instead. Yeah, let's do this. We'll have open. That. And we'll have close modal. Oh, that doesn't take any arguments. That. Remove those. Find them up here. Still not entirely certain why I have to do this for each method, but I know I have to. I also learned that I don't have to put that there. I can put this outside the constructor. So that's some white space. Everyone likes white space. Right. This is now this.close modal. As is that. And this is open modal. Put the form in its own function. This dot render form. Well, that's marginally better at least. Do a render footer for that and a render header for that. Is there any point? Probably not. Kind of wish it wouldn't wrap it around there. It's within the character width. But it wants to, so fine. Right, so we have a close. I still wish this was named better, but in fact, I'm going to turn this into a callback instead, because when I change this to return a body, we might do something with that later. Now the other thing I've got here is this is just closing the modal. Should probably have something that clears it rather. So in fact, when this succeeds, what we want to do is do this close modal, this dot clear, or reset modal. And reset modal is this. Set form. Which means it needs binding as well. So now if we try and create now, I haven't done it on close in general, I've only done it on success. Is that right? Might add a reset button here as well, actually. In fact, I'm going to cheat even more. Get rid of that, and that, and that. Do that. Get rid of that. Yep, that'll do. Yeah, refactor all things. Yeah, create modal web UI refactor create toggle. Now, the other thing I mentioned last week was when we were creating a message, we could provide faster feedback. In that we're currently only setting this failure message when we actually call the API. But we could call it on change of this of these controls in the form, because we've got a list of all the toggles available. Come to think about it, we've also got a bunch of stuff that doesn't exist available. So we do have a list of toggles. I think that was what the state was called. Dashboard reduces. It's actually toggles.toggles. Might change that. I don't like toggles.toggles. Yeah, it's just been returned as the whole thing. Okay. In fact, we're not doing anything else, so we could just do that. Now that we've got all the toggles available, I need to remember how to handle the form state change. Change this handle change. We're already doing that. Validation state equals this get validation state. Okay. Let's go and have a look at our form. So it's this one that we care about. So get name validation. And I guess that means another function up here. Or I could just put it here. And what do we do here? Grab the... Okay. So const name equals this state.name. If not name or name empty, return null. Otherwise, const matches equals this dot props dot toggles exists equals. Now I want to do any, but I think it's find t dot name equals name dot to lowercase is it. If can we just do return exists? If it exists, return danger. Maybe. No error in this case. We're good. Otherwise, return success. But hopefully that's not got any errors, but it's not actually going to do anything yet. Expected when a success, warning, error, or null. Oh, I think it's actually that. So one core test already exists, so it's gone red. Green, great. Now we actually want a decent message for that as well. Help block, maybe? No, I don't want the help block. Why don't I have a tick at the end of it? I don't get a tick. Get a tick. Or maybe it was form groups. No, no. Alt text with validation state. I guess it's that. Probably would have to import that as well. Yep, I don't want that to just have some fixed text. I want some decent text in there. Beginning to think I should, rather than just return, I should change the validation on the API to rather than just return messages, if it returned a dictionary instead, and then it could have a key of like a key of the name of the control that was affected, because then I could put all the messages in the right place. So here we'll just put name valid name of validation message. Const name validation message equals no point doing the validation twice. Get validation state. It's success, we will have a blank string, I guess, and otherwise we'll say the name this name is already toggle by other toggle. Yeah, that'll do. And when you hit create, you get that, which we want to put in here as well, eventually. This all needs a lot of refactoring. So web UI, add name distance validation to create toggle y. Now, if I was going to structure this better, which I want to, we want some kind of dictionary for these, I think. Because at the moment, all of our validation is actually hung off the name. There's no validation on the description. You need to think that should be its own method, so you'd have a form and just say name. Yeah. I don't know. What about if I ran some kind of validation and then checked states of those later? So something like when, I don't know whether I should do it on render. Probably not when this renders. Maybe on change. Yeah, we might be able to do this a bit more efficiently. So if we take this, let's take that on name change. So at this point, we have the name, so we'll do const name equals e.target.value. Take that and say const that. This thinking something like const validation equals that. No, that. Oh no, that. There we go. Name. I know what I'm trying to get at, but I don't know how to structure it. No, I think we can get away with something simpler than that. We'll have name messages. If in use, name messages push at which means this needs that. I think we can get rid of most of this. Right, so now here we say let's do this one first. This dot states that name messages length it's 0, then success, false, error, zero there as well. And our help block now has I'm just going to put the first one there, if it exists, I think. Can you do this in JavaScript? No, evidently not. Can I do this? I want to use that value, otherwise use this. Maybe it's an OR for that. Maybe this will work. Maybe this will fill my entire screen with red. It's green, that's good. That's basically what I want. The only trouble is it's green when it's blank, and it shouldn't be. I suppose we can cheat with that and go do this. If not name or name blank, name is required. Well, it nearly works. I don't know if that's the right way to do this. Maybe can you do a JavaScript is a string white space. So you can use redux. Firefox 3.5. My goodness, that's a long time ago. Yeah, I think you might be right. I might get an index out of bound errors, but this is JavaScript, so I think this will just give me null, apparently. But I want to avoid that anyway, so tempted just to trim the thing or test for it. Mostly because I want this to wrap nicely. So S O backslash slash. How many That's annoying. 79 characters. One character more and it would wrap to look the same as that. God damn it. Actually, let's do name not be blank. Better. That's the only annoying thing. It doesn't say anything on the initial render. This is only happening on name change. Can do is now put this. I'm definitely going to have to extract some other components out of this. Now what we want to do is just cheat slightly and just do this dot on name change on startup. I think that'll do what I want. Or give me horrible errors, one of the two. Can I read property target? No, I suppose not. Because we're getting E. Read toggles of undefined. Probably because I'm doing things that it's not. That needs to be in comment did mount. I think maybe. Well, it hasn't worked anyway. Oh well, I'm not gonna break things just for that. You'll get an error from the validation anyway. That's a bit nicer because then I could actually test that later. Yeah, well, my goodness, this is a big form. What have I achieved? Not a lot. Where does that alert message come in? Trying to work out whether I can push the alert validation, the one that comes through from here, through that pipeline instead. Let's see what happens actually. Name. Right, so that's the message from JavaScript. That's basically what I want to happen. Preferably with the same message, but yeah. So now we can get rid of render message. My goodness, this is which means I can get rid of our alert. It should be part of the same import. Now that I've got rid of that, I can get rid of failure messages. And everything should still work. Maybe once I refresh it. Oh, read property bind of undefined. Ah, yes, okay. Render message. Nice. Why have you decided to not wrap it onto 2 lines anymore? Goddamn prettier. Right. Move validation on createToggle to blocks. That's a really long commit message, but I don't care. Should probably check that I can actually create toggle successfully still. That's interesting. Yeah, alright. Because I'm just checking if the whole thing is. What we actually want is at think. Stuff it. I'll just do this. Name trim. Yep, good. Expected end of JSON. Really? Weird. That's weird. Ah, okay. Yeah, I've worked that out. Right, so first things first, let's add that in to the last commit. And that one is just caused by the fact that we're checking this, calling success, and then not returning. So the rest of this function is then running. Right, so let's try creating a toggle again. and we just need to modify our created response to actually return the JSON for the toggle so we can stuff it straight into the state of the application without having to refresh or recall the API to get a new list of available toggles. Web UI fix create toggle action. Now, can I be bothered to start up Rider again to make those modifications now? No, I've been streaming for an hour and 40 minutes. Yeah, that'll do for this today, I think. Might as well end on a successful note rather than grumble as my stream falls apart because my internet goes flaky. Let's push that up to GitHub. If you've got any questions or anything, feel free to shoot me a message at Ponderdom on Twitter, and all the code is on github.com/ponderdom/Crispin. Hope you enjoyed watching and hope you have a good rest of your evening.